Sooner or later, if any of you takes a role leading a group of people from diverse cultural backgrounds, it's possible that you might come across this aspect of national culture that Hofstede teaches us about. And this is an interesting dynamic that compares national cultures that are okay with uncertainty with national cultures that are not okay with uncertainty and do everything they can to avoid uncertainty. So let's see what this means. If you are the kind of person that does not like uncertainty, then you are very strong at trying to avoid uncertainty. For example, if you ask me what time of day we should be meeting up to study, and if I tell you, well, probably sometime between 6 and 7, give or take, but we'll kind of decide when it gets closer. Well, you might not like that answer. That might be a little bit too uncertain for you. You might try to pin me down and say, well, is it 6 o'clock or is it 7 o'clock or is it 6:15? You might not like the uncertainty that comes with that. That uncertainty might give you stress. It might make you anxious. It might mess with your day a little bit and prevent you from being able to plan everything else that you might need to do that day. So you might need more clarity and structure to your day. And you might need to plan things out very carefully. So you might not like that uncertainty in my answer. Another example could be if you ask someone in authority what the answer is. If you say, why is it, for example, that prices have been rising so much for the past couple of years? And let's say you ask your teacher or your professor the answer to that question. If the teacher has a few ideas but isn't 100% sure, then you might not like that response. If the professor, for example, says, well, prices have been going up for the past few years for several reasons. So it could be a little bit because of the pandemic from 4 years ago. It could be a little bit because of some of these steps the government is taking. And it could be a little bit because people are demanding more products than they were 3 years ago. I'm not sure, but it could be a combination of these things. Well, again, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like uncertainty, you might not buy that answer. And you might say, well, you're the teacher, you're the professor, you're supposed to have all of the answers. Tell me what the answer is. How could you not know the answer? Okay. So, again, that's a big aspect of an uncertainty avoidance type of a culture. Maybe one more example. So, cultures that don't like uncertainty, they tend to stay in their jobs or stay in their classes or stay in their environments, even if they don't love those jobs or those classes or those environments. Why would they do that? Well, simply because changing their job or changing their class or changing their environment might involve a lot of uncertainty, right? Who knows if the grass is greener at that new job or with that new professor or in that new neighborhood, right? At least I know what I don't like about my current job. So let me not create more uncertainty by leaving. So that would be the response of someone who does not like uncertainty. On the flip side, there are certain cultures that are absolutely fine with uncertainty, where they say, hey, do you want to meet up to study later, sometime between 6 or 7 or even 8? Sure, no problem. That's about right. As long as it's within those 2 hours, yeah, I'm fine. There are certain dynamics, there are certain national cultures and people, personality-wise, that might say, look, I'm okay if my boss or my teacher or my professor says, I don't know. Not everybody knows everything. So I'm okay with a little bit of uncertainty. And you know what? If I'm not happy at my job, I'm okay changing jobs. Sure, I don't know for sure whether I'm going to like the new job. It could be worse, but I'm willing to take the chance. I'm okay with that uncertainty. And so those are examples of what a person would say if they're okay with uncertainty. And so it's interesting as you travel and as you manage through different cultural situations, sometimes you see these differences really pronounced. For example, If any of you have traveled to Europe, you might have spent some time, for example, in Italy. Italy is sometimes unfairly so, but noted as a national culture that is okay with being late, right? If your train is supposed to leave the station at 7 o'clock in the morning and it leaves at 7:15, that's generally on time. However, in Germany, that's really late. 15 minutes late would be considered a late train. In Italy, 15 minutes is not a big deal. It's not considered so late. The Italian national culture tends to be a little bit better with uncertainty than the German national culture, give or take. Okay. Also, as I mentioned in one of the other lectures many years back, in a country like Japan, employers were very reluctant to ever fire employees, even if those employees were doing a bad job. Why? Because the companies and the employees valued certainty, right? They said, I would rather be sure that I know what I'm getting. I'd rather be sure that I know what my job is. I'd rather not have the uncertainty of having to switch jobs and having to find someone else. Okay. So at different points in time, different national cultures can display ingredients or display examples of having a strong uncertainty avoidance or having a weak uncertainty avoidance. The job that you guys have is just knowing the difference between the two and understanding how this might impact the thought system, the value system, and the behavior of employees who you might manage and lead in the future.